that's not familiar with horse racing, if you're not familiar with that law, where do you start? What's the easiest bet to start out with?
Well, the easiest bet to start out with is the basic win bet, because of course then you have to win.
Right.
Your horse doesn't win, you don't win. You know, a lot of people like to bet win, place, and show, or just to bet to show. That way, if your horse runs first, second, or third, you'll cash a ticket. But you know, you can do so many different bets. There are options now where you don't have to bet two. Traditionally, you always had to bet $2. There are a lot of bets that you can do for a lot less than that, for even $1, even 50 cents, and even 10 cents on certain bets. So, you know, you've got some options there, and there's a lot of great information. You can go to our website, which is capitalotb.com, and there are links to a number of different websites that can give you information about how to find, you know, very basic information about how to bet, some very basics about handicapping and understanding the game, and then more general information, you know, overview stuff, the magazines and stuff that have.
Now, what's the difference between thoroughbred and harness?
The thoroughbred breed are the horses that we see at Saratoga at the, you know, what's called the flat track.
That's when they're on the horse, right?
They're riding the horse and they run. They're a separate breed of horse. They have a totally different breed registry, just like a German Shepherd dog is a totally different breed from a poodle.
Ah, okay.
They are both they're totally different breeds. And the harness horses, the standard bred breed, they came out of the era, obviously, when people were, you know, using horses to pull carts and so forth. And, you know, you'd eventually some wealthy guy would have a real fast trotter, and he would match his fastest trotter against somebody else's, and it evolved into the game that we know now.
Is there a difference in quality between thoroughbred and harness?
You know, they're a little different. I think a lot of people would tell you that the harness horse, the standard bred breed, is a little more durable horse. Thoroughbred maybe a little more high-strung, a little more delicate. But
and what are some of the popular tracks running currently?
Well, right now the big thing is, of course, Belmont is finishing up. Saratoga opens on the 23rd of July, so they're opening a little early this year, and that'll be the big thing here on the East Coast. Out on the West Coast, next week is the opening of Del Mar, which is the Southern California version of Saratoga. There's kind of a bit of a competition between the two tracks. I prefer Saratoga, but you know, a lot of people like Del Mar if you're based in California. That's your summer track. And those are the two big summer.
And we'll have Drew jump in.
How you doing, Drew?
Good.
You're sitting there nice and patient and
That's
quiet.
all right. That's fine.
Now, you are involved with sales and marketing
That's
at
correct.
OTB. So what's your job at OTB?
Well, actually, we're taking a new concept. We're trying to really get OTB back out there to really create a new brand, because it's not just about the gambling and horse racing. It's more of an entertainment type of industry at this point. So as you mentioned, maybe the industry is changing a little bit. What my real focus is to bring more people into the branches, into the teletheater, whether it's corporations, a new demographic, because really Capital OTB it's no longer that stigma of it's your grandfather's place to go. It's a younger demographic now. We do a lot of different fundraising events, and we're creating more of an entertainment facility.
Do we ever try to bring in young people?
Oh yeah. We're doing a lot of different things. We do a lot of different sponsorships, events. What we're doing right now is going out to the younger demographic and saying, okay, did you think about horse racing? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? The real thing about horse racing is it's a strategy, and that's what I enjoy about it. Is you have to strategize, you have to do your research the way Jean does, and she's extremely good at it. It could teach me an awful lot about it. And it's almost like that poker craze. The younger demographic has really engulfed poker, and we'd like to get that as well. So we're doing a lot of different things to say what works for you.
Now, how did you get involved with OTB? Have you been a horse racing fan all your life?
I've been a horse racing fan all my life. Yeah, I grew up locally as well, and back then, your parents would take you up to Saratoga, and the good thing about Saratoga, it's not just about horse racing. It is a social event, and there's an awful lot of things to do for families and everything else. So I love the horses, and once again, you start as you get older and start researching it, and I really stuck with it, and I just truly enjoy it.
And we talk about the Saratoga meet is coming up. Now, when does that run? From when to when?
It begins July 23rd, Friday, July 23rd, and runs through Labor Day, which is September 6th this year. So it's one of the longest meets that NYRA and Saratoga have ever put together. It's 40 days of racing.
And we haven't had that.
We have
it hasn't
not.
been that long.
That's right. And you know what? The people want it. The good thing about Saratoga, as Jean mentioned, it is a world-class sport. So it is our true professional sporting event right here within the Capital District.
Why is it a big deal? Why do people like going to Saratoga so much? I mean, I know it's a beautiful, beautiful city to go to.
Yeah.
And you think that's one of the reasons?
Absolutely.
That
on
adds
top
to
of it, you know, once again, it's not just, it's a family event, and there's so much going on. The restaurants and everything else really, this community really engulfs it. It's not just the local community. I mean, all of New York State, all of the country, and as we discussed, people from all over the world, you know, world leaders come here.
Don't people like stay in people's houses, like rent out houses and come from out of town?
Yeah. Yep.
And doesn't it help spike the economy?
Absolutely it does. You know, not just in real estate, but in the restaurants and in the shopping and, of course, the thoroughbred industry. And then we have the horse sales here. Fasig-Tipton has the sales, and, you know, people from all over the world come here to purchase horses because, you know, NYRA did a very good job in their marketing group with the summer place to be. Well, it truly is. You know, people really look forward to it. And you know, it gets sad. As Labor Day comes, you realize, geez, here comes the weather and here comes everything else in the Northeast.
And then it's going to end.
Right.
Yeah,
but the excitement is definitely here, so.
And I also know, I've heard of the Betmobile. What's the Betmobile? Is it a physical mobile?
It's an actual, well, it's a mobile betting unit. And we utilize it. It's a great concept. OTB created this about a year and a half ago. And really what it's meant to do is twofold. To go to places that people may not be able to have access to a branch or the teletheater or, you know, online. So they can actually go, we move it into different locations.
So it's a traveling
branch.
parlor, so to speak.
Yeah, it's very unique.
That is
design.
Do you know if we're the first OTB? Because there are different regions. There's Western region, there's Nassau, and then we have Capital.
Yep.
And I know we're one of the better run OTVs.
Capital
is one of the better run OTVs for sure.
Yep.
So where do you travel usually? Is it in Albany?
It will stay within our counties. You know, as Capital is responsible for 17 counties. So we'll keep it within that vicinity. We do need approval from the New York State Racing and Wagering Board. So we'll look to say, okay, what makes sense? And if it's not literally stationary at that point, we'll drive it around because it is truly a moving billboard. And it draws attention.
It seems really cool, and it's different and unique. I don't think any of the other OTVs have.
No one has.
What's the difference between going to a regular parlor and going to the telebranch? Because I understand when you go into a telebranch, you have to pay. So what's the difference between that?
Well,
why are you paying?
Yeah, well, it is an actual event facility. Large screens. We do have food and beverage, and we do an awful lot of other events in this facility as well. 711 Central Avenue is our teletheater. So we'll do fundraising events, a number of different things, because a lot of corporations will want to actually come here and have a day with their employees. Rather than going to the track or rather than going to another thing. We have facilities for meeting rooms and things like that. The branches themselves are maybe smaller facilities. It's strictly you can watch the races, place your wager. The majority of them do not have food or beverage, whereas the teletheater does.
And Easy Bet, what is an Easy Bet?
An Easy Bet, believe it or not, is an independent business. They may be your local bar or restaurant, where the proprietor wants to be able to offer horse racing and accept wagers right there so that their patrons don't leave. So the Easy Bet locations throughout all of our counties, we have about a little over 40 of them right now, where you can actually go in, place a wager, have lunch at their facility, watch the race, and that works out very, very well for us.
And it seems like horse racing can be a great thing to do with the family.
It's true.
It's a great social thing to do, and you don't even have to spend a lot of money. You can go with just a couple dollars just to have fun. You know, you don't. It's not all about the money.
That's correct.
So you never know. Maybe you win something. So I want to thank you, Drew, for joining me
Thanks
today,
for having
and
us.
Jean.
Always
thank
a pleasure,
you
Tom.
so
Thank
much.
you.
I like horse racing as well, and I'm happy to work for OTB. So we will be right back. I think Anna has a segment for you coming up. We're going to take a break. What's coming up next? I think we have a dance that Anna and I did back in 2005 that we're going to take a look at. We've been friends for a long time. So we shall be right back, and Anna will be in this chair. So don't go anywhere. Be right back. Thank you. Nice job.
Thank you. That's terrific.